Hello and welcome to another NihongoGamer video. I'm quite excited because I've got this, the UFB-Up5. We're expecting more and more tournaments to start considering PlayStation 5 as the tournament standard. So if you go in there with your DIY controller and your universal fighting board, it probably won't work if you're running on the PS5 version of the game. I think actually in some cases, in many cases, if you're running the PS4 version of the game, it probably still will work. But if you're running the native PS5 version of the game, you're going to need a PS5 board, PCB, or you're going to need one of these upgrade kits to turn this into a board that works on PlayStation 5. This is an old one. But what's not an old one is the one that I've got here in my actual DIY controller. Now, if you haven't seen the video for this and you're interested, there is a video, I'll put the link in the description box below, but essentially I took a like $3 or $4 plastic box that I got from a local hardware store, and I just put buttons in it, PCB, and it just works on PlayStation 4. So, let's have a look at this, the upgrade board, which costs $60. And remember, the original Universal Fighting Board already costs between $90 to $100, or if you're using the PS4 Plus, that's like $60. So you're starting to wonder, should I just buy a PS5 native controller? Well, the thing is, if you want a PS5 controller, you're stuck with the commercial options from the big companies. I actually just built this layout by putting my hand on the controller and going, I'm going to trace where my fingers fall on this, and that's where the layout is for this controller. If you want something custom like that, you're either going to have to extract an official PS5 board from one of these controllers, or you're going to have to do this, Universal Fighting Board plus the upgrade kit. So let's get into the box and see what's inside. As you can see, it's the Brook UFB-Up5. It's the upgrade kit for the PS5. And the main features are that it's easy to install. And that's actually kind of the main reason why I'm making this video. I want to see just how easy it is to actually install this. There's no timeout issue, but sometimes unofficial boards, they time out after 8 minutes, and you have to like reconnect them or authenticate them with an actual official controller as well. And suppose if those issues do crop up in the future, it should be easy to update the firmware. Just going to rip the packaging apart like so. And on the inside, you can see UFB-Up5, and this is the board itself. And as always, we get these lovely holographic Brook stickers. These remind me of stickers from the 90s. We've got, the tiny little board, and 2 different types of cable, and this little connector. Alright, I've got the official Brook website. I've clicked here on the user guide. Let's go over here. User guide. This upgrade kit is compatible with PlayStation 5. Step 1. Check whether there is a wafer connector in J2 or not. Alright, so it says it's an easy installation, but if you do not have this pin here, if these are just holes in the PCB, you're going to have to install this yourself. Connect the signal lines and power lines to the Up5 and the USB. So if these colors are correct, I should be able to plug one end into the Up5, and by the way, these are like a different size, so this one won't fit in here. This is the larger connector. You'll want to plug this into the Up5 like so. That's connected. According to the diagram, we need to have the red cable here on the left go to the top point here. Okay, and now we need to connect the red and black lines to the power. Now, if you haven't done these screw terminals before, basically you undo the screw, you put the cable in, and then you screw it down. It says the red cable is going to go into this very last one here, the VDD_5V, or underscore. Undo this so it's nice and open. Plug the red cable in, tie it down like so, and you put the black one into ground, and presumably any ground will work, but I'll just use the one that they're saying here. It says right here. I'm going to put it into this one here that says ground. I plug the black cable into there, and then holding it in place with my fingers, I'm going to screw this back in place. So it says that the red line should go on the left and the black line should go on the right. Unfortunately, this will only go in one way because it's got a little ridge on this connector on the top. There's no ridge on the back there. So I just plug this in like so. It's actually surprisingly simple to do as long as you've got the correct tools to start with. Slide that in place. And viola! We have the Up5 connected with the signal line and the power line on this side, and presumably that's all we need to do. So the process is super simple, but I'm going to take these cables out now because actually I don't want to use this board. I want to just use it directly on the board on this DIY controller that I built in a previous video. I'm going to do the exact same process, but to this board. Then let's upgrade the firmware on PC, and then we're going to plug it into our PS5 and actually see if it works with some native PS5 games. Okay, I've got the PS5 booted up, and as you can see, I've got a PS5 game here, but also a PS4 game. Now, with an unofficial controller like this one, this is the Furion Arcade FRS, this has got a Brook UFB in it, so it does work just fine with PS4 games running on my PS5. But if I want to go over to a PS5 game, if I press the button here to load the game, I'll show you what happens. It says PS5 games can't be played using the current controller. And so I won't be able to do anything in the menus of this game. Let's go to the DIY box with this upgrade installed right here. By the way, I haven't done the firmware upgrade there. Let's just go ahead and plug it in and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, we'll do the update. So let's try the exact same thing. Now we'll go over to the PS5 version of Guilty Gear Strive and see if we can boot it up using our upgraded controller. Oh. So we've downloaded the firmware update and double-clicked on it to open it up. It says firmware update, and in order to connect it, we need to press the PS button and the share and select button at the same time. So I'm going to try and press them at the same time, like so, while plugging into the PC, USB going in. So I'll just click start on this button here, like so. Updating the board. I was a fool for thinking this would work without the update. Alright, the firmware has been successfully updated. Awesome, we didn't brick anything. Let's go to a PS5 game, press the button, and... oh, no message! Excellent. And as you can see, I am able to move around in Guilty Gear Strive, even though this is the PS5 version of the game, and I'm using my what used to be a PS4, PS3 Switch controller. It is now also a PS5 controller. No worries with compatibility anymore. Excellent. So if you're interested to know, the options button works just fine, the share button works just fine, obviously I've got access to my home button just fine, and I can also press the touchpad. This is normally, like sometimes the touchpad can be a little bit finicky depending on the game because it's like, are you on the PS5 version and are you using a PS4 controller? But using the touchpad works just fine. I can use all the normal features, like holding left in the touchpad to be on the left side, or holding right in the touchpad to be on the right side, or just pressing it down on the touchpad to be right here in the middle. All working exactly as you would expect it. Something we should probably test though is whether it works on PS4 games as well. Has PS5 compatibility broken my PS4 compatibility? Alright, here in the PS4 version of Street Fighter V, in fact there is no PS5 version of Street Fighter V, and it's working just fine here on my PS5 console, so I can confirm that it hasn't like broken compatibility with PS4 games or anything. Listen up, that's all I've got for today. It's really easy to install and basically a no-brainer purchase. If you've already got a stick that has a Brook Universal Fighting board or one of the compatible PS4 boards that are more like, around the $60 mark, this is an absolute no-brainer of a purchase because for an extra $60, your controller is now compatible with PS5 games natively. You don't need to go and buy a brand new stick. If you want to buy a brand new controller at the same level and caliber as the one that you already owned before, you're looking at spending another $200 to $300 on a controller. But this is the controller I built with a $5 box, a $100 board, and a bunch of buttons, any buttons you really want to put into it. Now I don't have to buy a whole new thing, and I can just upgrade the controller I've already got. If you need a custom controller, then yes, this makes sense. Or if you've already got a controller, this makes sense. But if you're just looking for a standard PS5 arcade stick, you might actually be just fine buying an off-the-shelf arcade stick. For everyone else though, it's the Brook UFB-Up5 and we have it now. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would love if you would do so. Be sure to like the video and leave a comment. Is this the sort of upgrade that you think is within your capabilities? That's something that you could do? Or you're like, okay, too many screwdrivers, too many cables, and I'm already kind of scared once I see a PCB. Let me know in the comments section if you think that was something simple enough that anyone could do, or if you're just like, I'm just gonna buy an off-the-shelf arcade stick that's already PS5 compatible. If you do decide that the Up5 is the way you want to go and you're going to build your own controller, check out my DIY video, which is right here. Shows you how to build the controller, all the steps and all the tools that will be required. That's all for now. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.